I want to start with a segment, and I want to be very clear that this is basically the toughest segment I have ever done. And it's a very tough topic, and viewer discretion is advised. I would literally ask you to not be in front of children when you are listening to this segment, because it is absolutely horrific. It is so horrific that I couldn't believe what I was reading.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So before we begin, we have new merch. Now, I know that some of you have shirts, probably all of you. Also, you may have cups to drink tea and coffee, but most probably they don't have the Zero Seats slogan on top of them. You can visit our merch store and you can look at the lovely merch we have. Shirts, cups with a Zero Seats on them. And look at this. You have Nigel smoking his cigar and everyone else.
And that's only going to be in the store for a few days leading up to our election thing. So.
And that's a completely bespoke image which Rory spent ages making.
Yeah.
That's not just taken off Google Images somewhere.
Yeah.
We put that, well, Rory put that together. I think it's really good.
There's some actual creativity behind it. Right. 2 days from now, we are going to have UK general elections. There should have been a promo here.
Oh, well, we're going to have an election night stream.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the code 0 seats. You can use it. And for the Samson, is it for the 3 months people have 50%?
50% off gold tier membership.
3 months, 50% off gold tier, he says.
Exactly. Now, let's go to our topic. So basically, a woman in Germany has been sentenced to prison. She spent 8-9 days to prison for offending a sexual offender. And this raises several questions whether countries in the West have their priorities set straight, or if their list of priorities is actually the correct one. So I am warning you, this is going to be a very disturbing case. So it says here, the woman has now received more jail time than 8 of the 9 men convicted for the gang rape. We have here this article from the Publica, and it says, woman convicted of offending migrant gang rapists receives longer prison sentence than the rapists. And that was published in June the 23rd of this year.
So just to clarify.
Yep.
So men committed a rape.
Yep.
And almost all of them didn't go to jail. Only one of them did. The other 8 didn't.
Yes.
So most of them didn't go to jail, but the woman who insulted the rapists, she does go to jail.
Yes. And she was convicted for spending jail time of 8-9 days on the grounds of a defamation law. We will get a bit into this, but what happened? So basically, in Hamburg, there is a park called Stadtpark. And during the COVID lockdown years, many people met in that park. It became sort of a hub. Now, one night in 2020, there was a terrible incident because there was a 14 to 15-year-old girl that was there with her friends. And at some point, there was a police raid in the context of fighting people who were violating the social distancing rules. And when she was alone and trying to flee the police so she wouldn't be fined for breaking social distancing rules or something, she was repeatedly attacked by many men. And first there was a group of 4 predators that attacked her. They took her phone. She couldn't call anyone for help. Then there were 2 further men who attacked her and assaulted her. And then there were rumors of some videos that were taken and circulated in social media and informing other offenders, potential offenders, of her whereabouts. And then there were 3 more people who took advantage of her. At some point, she left that place, and she ran, and she came across people who recognized that she was in a very traumatized state.
I mean, just on a meta point, we really shouldn't be importing people from places where if you come across a group of your countrymen doing something like that you join in rather than stopping them. I mean, it's inconceivable that somebody from, Britain or America or Greece or something would come across a group of their countrymen doing something like that and not stop them as opposed to join in.
Yes.
And yet this is normal amongst these groups.
Well,
I thought all cultures were equal. Are they not?
Well,
Is that not the case?
not the bad ones, not the, the...
So 11 men were charged, but 2 of those were set free because there was no DNA evidence. But with respect to the 9 out of these 11 men, there was DNA evidence. And they were basically charged with suspended sentences. So 8 out of 9 didn't do jail time at all. So their social media, or that person's social media, was circulated outside, was published, and people were absolutely outraged. And as this article says here, the case caused outrage in Germany, both for the brutality of the sexual offense itself and the lenient sentences given to the rapists. As a result, one of the men had his identity and phone number circulated on Snapchat. Angered by the news of the case, a 20-year-old woman from Hamburg messaged the number through WhatsApp. The unnamed woman called him a, open quote, dishonorable racist pig, close quote. And,
rapist pig.
Yeah, dishonorable rapist pig.
Which he is.
She also asked him, aren't you ashamed when you look in the mirror? The targeted rapist then reported the woman to the police, and she was charged with sending him insulting messages. And the woman has now been convicted and sentenced to a weekend in prison for her remarks, meaning that she will have spent more time in jail than 8 out of the 9 rapists. In court, the woman apologized for her remarks. I suspect
under duress.
Yeah. Saying she acted out of a reflex, a knee-jerk reaction, upon hearing the sickening details of the case.
I mean, this is sickening on so many levels. First of all, Germany imports millions of these people, and then they don't police them when they commit rapes. They don't jail them when they commit rapes, and then they punish the population for getting upset about it. I mean, the levels of betrayal going on here. You've got to think about all of those millions of German ancestors in heaven looking down, utterly ashamed of what their country has become.
I just think that any person with just common sense, let's say, and common sense is no doubt under attack these days, would say that the kind of punishment or kind of reaction to the people who committed that sexual offense is just very relaxed, to put it this way, and also the kind of reaction against that woman is excessive. And this generates several questions whether Germany and other Western nations who act on such principles actually have a good value system. I think they don't. We have been saying for so long that they do not, but I think that cases like these are just absolutely appalling. I just can't believe what I'm reading. But and I will say this: I just started looking at this piece of news, and I found other newspapers talking about this because I couldn't believe that this would actually happen.
Because I saw this and I reacted to it as well. The first time I saw this, I thought, no, that is so absurd. It cannot possibly, even Germany cannot do this. And then you look into it and it's like, okay, no, that is actually what they did.
Yes.
But Germany is set. I mean, I know they're going after those kids for singing Ausländer raus, but I mean, surely the German people just can't take this forever. I Surely there's going to be one hell of a snapback coming.
And it's not even really a case of if someone was offended or not, and if that crosses line.
No, it's
What she's done.
yeah.
What she's done there is a statement of fact, called him a dishonourable rapist pig. That's the
It's terrorizing the German population into
Simply
you
is.
must accept this and take more of it.
And
But she hasn't said. It's just a statement of fact, though.
Yes.
Is it so? Again, it goes back to sort of the 1984 thing, where a statement of truth
Yeah.
becomes a crime. To state facts or reality or truth itself.
And I just go
is
back
criminal.
to my point about all of those sort of German ancestors looking down. I mean, how would any previous German popular, cohort of generation from years gone past dealt with this? They would just kill them.
I think that the very relaxed reaction towards 8 of these 9 rapists is just insane, and it's very maddening and angering. And I'm
Yeah.
really careful with how I'm putting it.
Well, you talk about generations gone by. In Tacitus's Germania,
Yeah.
talk about sex criminals are lashed to a hurdle or a bit of wood and just pressed into a bog, face down.
Based. Yes.
All sex criminals. That's the punishment, according to Tacitus.
And
in
when
the
what
ancient
happens as a
world.
result, you get fewer sex criminals. It bloody works.
Well, I don't know whether we should go back to these times, but
Yes.
what we can say here is that 5 of the men were in possession of German passports, while the remainder were not citizens of Germany. And among those charged, none were of German heritage, which means 9 out of 9. The rapists were identified as a Pole, an Egyptian, a Libyan, a Kuwaiti, an Iranian, an Armenian, an Afghan, a Syrian, and a Montenegrin.
For Hausen.
Yeah, it's very diverse. That
Yeah.
each one of them, more or less, or every single one of them, was of a different nationality.
Yeah.
Or a different country of origin, let's say.
Well, if you
Yes.
put them all together, you'd have a Tory campaign video.
Well, diversity is not a strength, necessarily speaking. In this case, it is an absolute weakness for Western nations. So
With
they
the
say,
exception of the Pole, what do all those countries have in common? Is there any pattern? We're allowed to notice any sort of pattern there? Because the other thing she said is, when you look in the mirror, aren't you ashamed of yourself? No,
they're not.
almost certainly not. No,
Yeah.
because they've been allowed to.
Yeah.
Their holy book says
And
that,
can you imagine what's going on?
that she's some sort of whore
Yeah.
for not covering up or being out after dark without being accompanied
And
by a
can you
male
imagine
member
what's
of the
going through their
family.
head?
No, they're not ashamed.
They,
I wouldn't
they,
have
they
thought.
must be thinking to themselves, "We got away with this." I mean, what is their behaviour going to be in the future? Obviously, they're going to do more, and obviously, everybody who hears about this case who's of that mindset is going to be like, "Well, there's literally no reason why we shouldn't behave like this."
so some of them showed no signs of remorse. Basically, according to the article, none of them showed signs of remorse, and at least one of them fell asleep during the proceedings. 8 out of the 9 men were convicted and walked free with probation and spent no time in prison at all. The 9th was sentenced to 2 years and 9 months in prison without parole.
So the one that went to jail did how long?
2 went to jail for 2 years and 9 months. Or at least
but-
that is the sentence.
For violent rape, you get 2 years and 9 months.
Just nuts.
God.
But authorities in Hamburg are reportedly investigating 140 people for offenses relating to the issue of insult, threats, or other detriment towards the Stadtpark predators.
Christ. When Germany snaps back from this, it is going to be something to behold.
Mm.
And here we have yet another article that talks about there being no repentance in the proceedings.
Again, because it comes. This is the thing. This is what they don't want anyone to actually talk about. Is why is that though?
Yeah.
Because that girl, in their eyes, is a kafir, a non-believer, a non-Muslim, so subhuman on some level.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's out after dark without being modestly covered or without being accompanied by a
fair
male
game in
member
their
of her,
mind.
then she's fair game.
Yeah.
You're not really.
And what this is going to get to, I don't know if you saw that thing on Twitter the other day, but it was from a French girl who lives in Paris, and she was saying that she can't go out after 9 anymore. Even if she goes out during the day, she's constantly harassed. Basically, women in Western cities, they're going to have to start wearing the headscarf if they want to be safe outdoors.
Or we can introduce a system of mass remigration.
Well, or that.
Or that.
Yes.
In this case, I think it's just also a case of men taking advantage of a lonely, vulnerable woman who was alone in the dark.
Particular type of man, but yeah.
Yeah. So here there's an article by Telegraph talking about this, and I want to show you towards the end what they're saying. The case has laid bare Germany's harsh defamation laws, which criminalize causing offense with even mild slurs like idiot. Breaking the law can lead to punishment of up to 2 years in prison. The district court said it had received strong reactions over the rulings in both the defamation case and the rape trial, which prompted it. Hamburg authorities are now investigating around 140 more suspects for insulting or threatening the gang rapists, with 100 of the suspects based outside Hamburg. A court spokesman told the Hamburger Abendblatt local newspaper last week, "We are observing the hostility in connection with the proceedings and the verdict with great concern." He said the anger over the case had reached a new worrying level of intensity and described the criticism as a targeted attack on rule of law. I mean, words are more harmful to the rule of law than these actions. That's the question that everyone is thinking.
What they mean by rule of law is you cannot question us as we import millions more of these people. That's what they
apparently
mean.
So. Apparently
and
so.
The libtards of Europe wonder why AfD keeps gaining in popularity.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
I'm just mystified that they're not getting like 80% of the vote.
Yeah, right. How has it taken this long?
Yeah.
Although we can't really criticise too much.
And speaking of AfD, we have here from 2 months ago, approximately, May the 8th, 2024, an article published by Free Speech Union about a young AfD politician who was convicted after publishing gang rape statistics in connection with Afghan migration that were published by the German police. So it's not that she found some statistics somewhere and
she didn't make them up.
Yeah, she didn't make them up.
She just reposted them.
She reposted and basically analyzed statistics that the German police circulated. And let me show you some of these statistics that were circulated by the German police. They say that in 2023, there were 419,000 Afghans residing in Germany. 380,000 of whom were Afghan citizens. At the end of 2013, and 7 years prior to the Taliban takeover of the country, the total number of Afghans in Germany stood at just under 67,000. Kaiser justified her concern about uncontrolled immigration by referring to a series of newspaper articles that cited official government statistics showing Afghans are disproportionately involved in the perpetration of sexual crimes in Germany. Figures released by the Federal Criminal Police Office of Germany, BKA, in 2022 revealed that a total of 677 gang rapes were recorded in 2021, up from 300 in 2018. Although non-German citizens comprise just 13.7% of the country's total population, there were suspects in exactly half of those cases.
I mean, what does it take before German men start forming militia to deal with this problem themselves?
I don't know, but this shows a clear overrepresentation of particular groups when it comes to crimes of these sort. And this raises questions with respect to how culture informs our actions and whether cultures are compatible and when they are incompatible. This is basically what everyone is thinking and asking about. no one says that culture doesn't affect who we become. No one says this. I have yet to find someone who says this. Everyone understands that cultures are patterns of actions, reactions, feelings, sentiments, and ways of valuing things. They doubtlessly affect who we become. Just by changing a location in the Earth's coordinates, just by changing location in a country, doesn't mean that this influence completely gets destroyed or overwritten. Just think of how difficult it is to cut some bad habits, for instance. Even trying to just lose weight sometimes can be unbelievably difficult because of how people are habituated. Imagine how cultural habituation affects us. And soon after this, because she was fined, and I think for around 6,000 euros, there was an infamous attack to Michael Sturzenberger in Germany, in Mannheim. There was a stabbing, a police officer died, Reuven L. And this is just something that angered everyone, and in some cases, it generated some memes about how Europe is treating the native population of Western countries and how the leadership of the EU is acting as if they're not particularly switched on with considerations regarding safety of the native Westerners. So that's I think that this is a very important question that we should be asking, because everyone accepts that cultures affect who we become. Everyone accepts that cultures affect who we become because they habituate us in particular ways. And there are questions that should be asked as to when cultures are compatible and when they're not. Because upon this question, upon the answer to this question, we can have a more prudent policy with respect to coexistence. And we can have a much more informed judgment when it comes to how we're going to decide who is going to live with who and who is not going to coexist with us. So I think
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't think it's a question.
Okay.
I think we go straight to action. Auslander.
I don't want to. Just clear them out.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
No, I'm saying clear. I agree with this. I'm saying clear out those we understand are acculturated in a way that is fundamentally at odds with our value systems. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I don't think that it's more an issue of how we go about it. So I think that this is the main question, and this is the question that isn't asked particularly when it comes to discussions in mainstream media, because every time someone tries to say that I'm skeptical of unrestricted mass migration, everyone is just trying to demonize that person. At least everyone from
Can I just note, I mean, you got this article here about this story, and then you look at the side panel. Now, stay where you were. Look at that side panel. Number 3, far-right National Rally tops French election poll results. I mean, this, cause reaction.
I was listening to DW News yesterday where they were talking about Le Pen, and literally they said far-right 10 out of 9 words that came out of their mouth.
Yeah.
And just I want to end with a final article that is about another case, and want to illustrate yet again the issue of cultural continuities and discontinuities. This is an article that was published in the end of May this year, 2024, on Daily Mail, where they're talking about a 20-year-old gypsy who raped a 12-year-old girl and left her pregnant with twins, was acquitted by Spanish court because their relationship is part of the cultural reality of their community. And as they have on the bullet points, this is the article from the Daily Mail. I'm reading from it. Court ruled that their sexual relations were just a part of gypsy culture. And I want to say that I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, then that's a massive cultural discontinuity.
That's one of the problems, isn't it, in the West now? That another culture, their norms, I don't know how you want to say it, take precedent over the laws of the land. So, for example, you might have a law that having sex in any way, shape, or form with a 12-year-old is simply statutory rape.
Yeah.
So that's it. There should be nothing else.
It's not like our laws, their laws. It's our laws, their laws. It can't work like that.
That's multiculturalism, because multiculturalism says that groups that are not, within quotation mark, dominant groups should not have pressures to assimilate. That is why every time anyone commits an act of violence against anyone else, we have a whole system that tries to portray that crime as something that originates in the pressure to assimilate into Western culture. Whatever happens, it is Western cultures that get to be blamed. And I will end with this claim, because we are talking about hideous sexual offenses. People in academia, most probably they won't admit it, but they perpetuate the lie that Western culture is supposedly a male rape culture, supposedly a culture that is somehow pro-sexual abuse, and that somehow men think this way. We do not.
And also, we don't have a culture. Also, we don't have one at all.
Well, mind you, increasingly we do have a rape culture, because that's what the legal system is supporting.
Yeah.
Because we've imported it, and our legal system is supporting it.
It is non-native.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I really think that this was a horrific story, and I literally hope that it's somehow not true. But every time we say things like that, sadly, we remind that reality is sometimes far worse than horror movies and fiction.
Hi, folks. Thanks for watching. Because we're demonetized on YouTube, if you would like to support us, and we appreciate all the support you give us, go to lowcease.com, sign up for £5 a month, and go and watch Calvin Robinson's Common Sense Crusade. I myself am an atheist, but I'm an ally to Christianity, and I love being able to say that we have an openly pro-Christian show on our platform. In this one, Calvin is talking about Sharia law in the UK. You can see why we have to put this behind the paywall. Keep us employed, and we'll see you soon.